There's a moment every month that most people don't think twice about until something feels off. You open your bank app. You expect to see a certain number, but instead, it's lower, or different, or missing something entirely. And that's where the confusion begins. Because this month, several government payments are not just arriving. They're shifting in ways that can quietly affect how much you actually receive. Not next year, not in the future, right now. And here's the part most people don't realize. Even if you've been receiving benefits for years, even decades, there are changes happening behind the scenes that can alter your payments without any warning on the surface. So today, we're going to walk through 4 key payments that many Canadians rely on. What's changing, what's staying the same, and what you need to double check before the money hits your account. Because one small detail could make a bigger difference than you expect. Let's start with something familiar, a payment that millions of Canadians count on every single month. Old age security. Now, at first glance, this payment feels predictable. It shows up on schedule. It looks consistent. And for many people, it feels stable. But here's what's easy to overlook. There are specific moments during the year when that amount gets reviewed and adjusted. And when that happens, even a small percentage change can affect your monthly budget more than you think. This month happens to be one of those moments. Adjustments tied to the cost of living can slightly increase what you receive. But, and this is important, that increase doesn't guarantee everyone sees the same result in their account. Because while the payment date stays consistent, the amount can quietly vary depending on your situation. And that leads to an important question. Have you ever compared your deposit with someone else, your age, and noticed it wasn't the same? That's not random, and the reason becomes clearer when we look at the next payment. Let's talk about something that often flies under the radar, but has a powerful impact, the Guaranteed Income Supplement. Now, this benefit is designed to support lower-income seniors, and unlike some other payments, this one has a unique advantage. It's not taxable, which means what you receive is what you keep. But here's where things get a little more complicated. This payment isn't just adjusted occasionally, it's recalculated every single year, and that recalculation is based on something very specific, your previous year's income. Not your current situation, not what's happening right now, but what was reported on your last tax return. So even if nothing has changed in your life recently, your payment might still shift. And sometimes, that shift surprises people. For example, if your income dropped last year, maybe you retired mid-year, or withdrew less from your savings, your benefit could increase. But if your income went up, even slightly, your payment could decrease. And here's where it becomes critical. If that tax return wasn't filed on time, this payment doesn't just get reduced, it can stop. Completely. No warning deposit, no partial amount, just paused until everything is updated. And every year some people only realize this after checking their account and wondering what went wrong. So if there's one thing worth double checking this month, it's that your filing is up to date, because that single step affects more than one payment. Now let's move to another major source of retirement income, the Canada Pension Plan. This one works differently from the others, because unlike OAS or GIS, this isn't based on your current financial situation. It's based on your history, how long you worked, how much you contributed, and when you decided to start receiving it. That's why two people of the same age can receive completely different amounts. But there's something else about this payment that catches people off guard: taxes. Because this benefit is considered taxable income, which means the amount you see deposited isn't always the full story. At the end of the year, it gets reported. And depending on your situation, that can lead to an unexpected tax bill. And for many people, that surprise doesn't come until much later, months after the money has already been spent. So here's something worth thinking about. Would you rather adjust for that gradually or deal with it all at once later? Because there is an option to manage that up front, and many people don't realize it exists. Now, before we get into the final payment, let's pause for a second, because if you're receiving multiple benefits, you might have noticed something strange before. Everything arrives around the same time. The schedule feels consistent, but the total amount doesn't always match what you expected, and it's easy to assume something went wrong, but in most cases, nothing actually did. What you're seeing is the combined effect of adjustments happening behind the scenes, some annual, some ongoing, and some based on factors that aren't immediately visible. And that brings us to the fourth payment, the one that's created the most confusion recently. There's a newer benefit that not everyone is familiar with yet, and because it's still being discussed and shared online, there's a lot of mixed information about it. So let's clear things up simply. This payment is tied to helping offset everyday living costs, things like groceries and essential expenses, and while the structure may feel similar to previous support programs, there have been updates that change how it works going forward. Now here's the key point. Eligibility hasn't drastically changed for most people. If you qualified before under similar programs, there's a good chance you still do. But the amount can be different, and the timing can also feel slightly different, especially during the transition phase. That's where a lot of confusion has come from. Some people expected one amount, but received something else. Others heard about large lump sums being discussed online, only to find out those numbers weren't accurate. And that's why it's important to rely on confirmed information, not assumptions or viral claims, because when expectations don't match reality, that's when frustration starts. So let's bring everything together. This month isn't just about payments arriving, it's about understanding how they interact. You have multiple benefits, each calculated differently, each influenced by different factors, all landing within a similar time frame. And when even one of those factors changes, your total can shift, sometimes slightly, sometimes noticeably, but rarely by accident. There's almost always a reason behind it. The challenge is, those reasons aren't always obvious at first glance. So what can you do right now? Keep it simple. First, make sure your tax filing is up to date. That one step alone affects multiple benefits. Second, take a moment to review your most recent deposits, not just the total, but where each portion is coming from, because understanding the breakdown helps you spot changes early. And third, stay informed, not overwhelmed, not alarmed, just aware, because these systems don't usually change overnight. They evolve gradually, and the people who stay ahead are the ones who take a few minutes to understand what's happening behind the scenes. If this helped bring some clarity to what's coming in this month, then you're already one step ahead of where most people are. And if you've ever checked your account and thought, wait, why is this different? You're definitely not alone. That question is exactly why conversations like this matter. So if you found this useful, take a second to hit the like button. It really helps more people find this kind of information. And if you have a question about your own situation, drop it in the comments. I go through them regularly and try to help wherever I can. And don't forget to subscribe, because in the next video, we're going to break down one of the most misunderstood parts of retirement income. And it's something that could affect how much you keep, not just how much you receive. I'll see you there. Take care.